The year was 2157. Humans had just taken their first steps into the vast expanse of space. They were proud of their achievements. They had colonies on Mars and were exploring the moons of Jupiter. Earth looked at the stars with hope and excitement. But the universe had other plans. On a quiet Tuesday morning, every screen on Earth lit up. TVs, phones, computers, all showed the same thing. A strange, alien face appeared. It had blue skin, big black eyes, and no hair. The being spoke in a deep, echoing voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "People of Earth," it said, "I am High Counselor Zix of the Galactic Council. We have been watching you." People all over the world stopped what they were doing. In New York, cars stopped in the middle of busy streets. In Tokyo, crowds gathered around big screens in the city squares. In a small village in Africa, people huddled around the only TV in town. Zix continued, "For millions of years, we have kept peace in the galaxy. We have guided young races and protected them from danger. But you humans, you are different." The alien's face showed no emotion, but its words were cold. "We have seen your history, your wars, your greed, your destruction of your own planet. You are dangerous." In the White House, the President of the United States sat with her advisors. They watched in shocked silence. One advisor whispered, "This can't be real." But they all knew it was. Zix's voice grew louder. "The Galactic Council has made a decision. You will not be allowed to leave your solar system. If you try, you will be destroyed." Around the world, people started to panic. In London, a man shouted at the sky, "You can't do this." In Beijing, a woman held her children close and cried. But Zix wasn't finished. "We will be watching you. If you continue to fight among yourselves, if you keep destroying your planet, we will have no choice. We will end your civilization to protect the rest of the galaxy." The message ended. The screens went dark. For a moment, the whole world was silent. Then, chaos broke out. Governments called emergency meetings. The United Nations building in New York was full of angry shouting. Some leaders wanted to fight back. Others wanted to beg for mercy. In universities, scientists tried to understand the alien technology. How did they broadcast to every device on Earth? How powerful were they? Religious leaders told their followers not to be afraid. "God will protect us," they said. But many people were scared. On social media, millions of posts appeared every second. Some people didn't believe it was real. They said it was a trick, a joke. Others shared videos of themselves crying, afraid of what would happen next. In secret military bases, generals made plans. They knew their weapons were no match for aliens who could travel across the galaxy. But they had to do something. As night fell across the Earth, no one could sleep. The stars that once seemed so beautiful now felt like watching eyes. The universe that had promised so much now felt like a prison. Humanity had dreamed of joining a galactic community. They had imagined friendly aliens, new worlds to explore, and amazing technology to discover. But now, they faced a harsh reality. They were alone, trapped, and seen as a threat. The next day, world leaders would meet to decide what to do. But for now, billions of people looked up at the night sky and wondered, what would happen next? Was this the end of human dreams? Or would they find a way to prove the Galactic Council wrong? One thing was clear. The world had changed forever. And humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. The day after the Galactic Council's message, Earth was in turmoil. World leaders gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York. It was the biggest meeting in human history. The large room was packed. Leaders from every country sat around a big table. Their faces showed worry and fear. Armed guards stood at every door. Outside, crowds of people waited for news. The UN Secretary General, a tall woman from Nigeria, stood up to speak. "We face the greatest threat in human history," she said. Her voice was strong, but her hands shook slightly. "We must decide how to respond to the Galactic Council." The room erupted in shouting. Some leaders wanted to fight back. The president of Russia stood up, his face red with anger. "We cannot let aliens tell us what to do," he yelled. "We must show them our strength." Others disagreed. The Prime Minister of India spoke next. Her voice was calm but firm. "We cannot win a war against beings who can travel across the galaxy," she said. "We must find a peaceful solution." As the arguments continued, scientists around the world were working hard. They studied the alien message, trying to learn about the Council's technology. In a lab in Tokyo, a young researcher made an important discovery. "Look at this," she shouted to her colleagues. On her computer screen was a map of strange energy signals. These signals appeared just before the alien message. "They're coming from the moon." The news spread quickly. The Galactic Council had a base on the moon. They were closer than anyone had thought. Back at the UN, the mood changed. Fear turned to anger. The President of the United States stood up. "We cannot let aliens control us from our own moon," she said. "I propose a mission to confront them directly." The room was silent for a moment. Then, slowly, people began to nod. It was dangerous, but they had to do something. Within hours, a plan was made. A small team of astronauts and diplomats would go to the moon. They would try to talk to the aliens face to face. The team trained for 2 weeks. They learned new languages, studied alien cultures, and prepared for every possible situation. The whole world watched and waited. Finally, the day of the mission arrived. The rocket stood tall and proud on the launch pad. Millions of people around the world watched on TV and online. The 5 team members walked out in their spacesuits. They waved to the cameras. The captain, a former fighter pilot named John Chen, spoke to the world. "We go to meet our galactic neighbors," he said. "We go in peace, but also with determination. We will show them that humanity deserves a place among the stars." The rocket launched in a burst of fire and smoke. People cheered and cried as it rose into the sky. For the first time since the alien message, there was hope. But the mission didn't go as planned. As the ship approached the moon, something strange happened. A bright light appeared. The ship's communications went silent. For hours, the world waited for news. Nothing came. The ship had disappeared. Panic spread across Earth. What had the aliens done? Was the team dead? Was this the start of a war? As night fell, people looked up at the moon with new fear. It was no longer just Earth's friendly neighbor. It was now an alien fortress, a threat hanging in the sky. In secret bunkers, military leaders made plans for war. In churches and mosques and temples, people prayed for peace. In homes around the world, families held each other close, afraid of what tomorrow might bring. Humanity had tried to reach out to the stars, but the stars had reached back with a harsh hand. Now, trapped and alone, humans had to find a way to survive. The future of the entire species hung in the balance. The Galactic Council had challenged humanity, and humanity's first response had failed. What would they do next? Months passed after the failed moon mission. Earth was a changed place. The skies, once filled with planes, were now empty. Space programs around the world were shut down. Humanity felt trapped and hopeless. But in a secret lab deep underground, a group of scientists worked day and night. They had a crazy idea. If they couldn't fight the aliens or talk to them, maybe they could hide from them. Dr. Maria Chen, a brilliant neuroscientist, led the team. She stood in front of a large screen, explaining her plan to world leaders. "We call it the Great Slumber," she said. Her eyes were tired but excited. "We can put most of humanity into a deep sleep. A sleep so deep that even the aliens can't detect our brain activity." The room was silent. Then someone asked, "But for how long?" Dr. Chen took a deep breath. "Years, maybe centuries, until we're ready to face the Galactic Council." The plan was risky, but with no other options, the world agreed to try it. Over the next year, huge underground sleep chambers were built. They looked like giant honeycombs, with millions of pods for people to sleep in. Advanced computers would take care of the sleepers and wake them up when the time was right. As the day of the great slumber came closer, people said goodbye to their normal lives. Families hugged each other tight, not knowing when they would wake up. In schools, children learned about their history and culture, hoping not to forget who they were. Some people were chosen to stay awake. They would watch over the sleepers and keep human civilization alive. It was a big responsibility. On the day of the great slumber, billions of people entered their sleep pods. In New York, London, Tokyo, and cities all over the world, streets became empty. It was like a strange, quiet apocalypse. Dr. Chen stood in the control room, watching as the last groups went to sleep. Tears ran down her face. "Good night, humanity," she whispered. "Sleep well. Dream of a better future." As the last sleep pod closed, something amazing happened. The constant buzz of human activity that had filled the Earth for thousands of years stopped. The planet became quiet in a way it hadn't been since before humans evolved. Up in space, the Galactic Council noticed the change. Their sensors showed less and less human activity. After a few months, Earth looked like a dead planet to them. The aliens were confused but relieved. They thought the humans had given up or died out. Slowly, they turned their attention away from Earth. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The seasons changed, but humanity slept on. Animals roamed through empty cities. Plants grew over buildings and roads. Earth started to heal from the damage humans had done. Deep underground, the sleep chambers hummed quietly. Inside, billions of humans dreamed. Their bodies changed very slowly as the special sleep technology worked its magic. Their minds, even in sleep, were active in strange ways. The small group of awake humans lived quietly. They took care of the sleep chambers and kept human knowledge alive. They lived in hidden cities, trying not to attract the aliens' attention. Over generations, they became like guardians of a sleeping world. But they also prepared. They studied the alien technology left behind after the Council's message. They made plans for the day when humanity would wake up. And they watched the skies, waiting for the right moment. In their sleep, humans were changing. The technology that kept them alive was also making them evolve. Their brains were becoming more powerful. Their bodies were getting stronger. When they would wake up, they would be more than human. And so, as stars moved across the sky and the galaxy spun slowly, humanity slept. They were like a hidden army, growing stronger in secret. The Galactic Council had forgotten about them. But one day, humanity would wake up, and the universe would never be the same again. 500 years had passed since the Great Slumber began. Earth was a very different place now. Forests covered old cities. Animals roamed freely. The air was clean and fresh. Deep underground, in the vast sleep chambers, something was changing. Lights that had been dim for centuries began to glow brighter. Soft beeping sounds filled the air. The Great Awakening was beginning. In the control room, a young woman named Zora watched the screens with excitement. She was part of the Watcher group, descendants of those who had stayed awake to guard the sleepers. "It's time," she said to her team. "Wake the first group." Slowly, sleep pods began to open. People who had gone to sleep in the 21st century opened their eyes in a new world. They were confused and scared at first. But as they stepped out of their pods, they realized something was different. A man named Alex looked at his hands in wonder. He could see energy flowing through his skin. "What's happening to me?" he asked. Zora smiled. "The sleep changed you," she explained. "All of you. You're stronger now, smarter. You can do things that were impossible before." As more people woke up, amazing things started to happen. Some could read minds. Others could move objects without touching them. A few even found they could fly. In a lab near the sleep chambers, scientists were amazed. Dr. Lena Kim, great-great-granddaughter of Dr. Maria Chen, studied the awakened humans. The long sleep activated parts of the brain we never used before. she explained to her team. They've become a new kind of human. But not everything was easy. Many of the awakened were sad to learn that their world was gone. Cities they knew were now ruins. People they loved had been dead for centuries. To help them cope, the Watchers had prepared special virtual reality rooms. Here, the awakened could see the world as it used to be. They could even talk to AI versions of their lost loved ones. It helped, but it was still hard. As days passed, more and more people woke up. They began to learn about their new powers. In a large training area, Alex was learning to control his energy abilities. He held out his hand, and a ball of light appeared. "This is amazing," he said. Nearby, a woman named Mia was practicing telepathy. She could send her thoughts to others across the room. "We're like superheroes now," she laughed. But with great power came great responsibility. Zara and the other Watchers taught the awakened about the Galactic Council. "They think we're gone," Zara explained. "But now we're strong enough to face them." Not everyone agreed on what to do next. Some wanted to contact the Council peacefully. Others wanted to prepare for war. Heated debates filled the underground cities. In one such debate, Alex spoke up. "We're not the same humans they threatened 500 years ago," he said. "We should show them we've changed." Mia disagreed. "They tried to keep us prisoner on our own planet," she argued. "We should fight back." As the arguments continued, something unexpected happened. The awakened humans' powers grew stronger. They could now communicate with each other across great distances. They could see things happening far away. It was like their minds were connecting to form something greater. Dr. Kim called an emergency meeting. "I think I know what's happening," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "Our brains are linking up. We're becoming a hive mind, but one where we keep our individual thoughts." The implications were huge. With their combined mental power, humanity could do almost anything. They could build incredible technologies. They could reshape their planet. And maybe, just maybe, they could challenge the Galactic Council. As the last of the sleepers awoke, a new sense of purpose filled the air. Humanity had changed. They were no longer the weak, divided species the Council had threatened. They were something new, something powerful. In the night sky, stars twinkled. But now, when humans looked up, they didn't feel small anymore. They felt ready. Ready to reclaim their place in the galaxy, ready to show the Council that humanity had awakened. And the universe would never be the same again. As weeks turned into months, the awakened humanity began to prepare. They knew they would soon face the Galactic Council. The underground cities buzzed with activity. In a large high-tech room, Alex stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. He pointed to a bright spot. "Our spies say this is the Council's main planet," he said. His eyes glowed slightly as he used his new powers to zoom in on the map. Mia, now a leader in the new human army, nodded. "Good work. But how do we get there without them noticing?" Zara, who had become the chief scientist, smiled. "I think I have an answer," she said. She waved her hand, and a 3D image of a strange ship appeared. "We call it the Phantom. It can bend light around itself. It's invisible." The room filled with excited chatter. An invisible ship. It seemed impossible. But then again, so did many things they could now do. In another part of the underground city, Dr. Kim was teaching a group of humans to use their new mental powers. "Focus," she said. "Feel the energy in your mind. Now reach out and touch the minds around you." The air shimmered as the group's thoughts connected. Suddenly, they could all see through each other's eyes. They could feel each other's emotions. It was overwhelming at first, but slowly they learned to control it. "This is how we'll communicate across space," Dr. Kim explained. "No radios, no signals for the Council to detect. Just our minds." Meanwhile, in a huge underground factory, new ships were being built. They weren't like old rocket ships. These were sleek, powered by the same energy that flowed through the humans' bodies. Workers moved metal with their minds, shaping it into perfect forms. But not everyone agreed with the plan to confront the council. In a meeting room, heated debates continued. "We should try to talk to them first," said an old man named David. "Maybe they've changed too. Maybe they'll accept us now." "And if they don't?" Maya shot back. "We can't risk everything on the hope they've become nicer." Alex stepped in. "Why not do both?" He suggested. "We prepare for a fight, but we also try to talk. We show them we're strong, but also that we're wise." Slowly, people nodded. It was a good plan. They would be ready for anything. As the preparations continued, the humans made more discoveries. They found they could change their bodies, making themselves stronger or even changing their shape. Some learned to control the weather, calling down rain or making the sun shine. In a secure room deep underground, a special team worked on the most secret project. They were building a weapon. Not a normal weapon, but one that could affect minds across the galaxy. They hoped they wouldn't need to use it, but they had to be ready. Months passed. The new human civilization grew stronger every day. They'd rebuilt cities on the surface, but these were like nothing before. Buildings floated in the air. Cars flew without engines. It was like magic, but it was all science. Science beyond anything the old world had known. Finally, the day came. Everything was ready. The fleet of ships, led by the Phantom, was prepared to leave. The best and brightest of the new humanity were chosen for the mission. In a grand ceremony, Alex, Mia, and Zara stood before a crowd of millions. "Today, we reclaim our place in the galaxy," Alex said, his voice carried by the wind to every corner of the gathering. Mia raised her fist. "We go to show the council that humanity will not be chained." Zara smiled softly. "And we go with the hope of peace, but the readiness for anything." As the crowd cheered, the ships began to rise. They glowed with inner light, beautiful and terrifying. The Phantom, invisible to all but the enhanced eyes of the new humans, led the way. Earth watched as its children left to face the stars. The animals in the forests, the fish in the seas, even the plants seemed to turn their attention to the sky. The planet itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity was going to meet its destiny. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The universe was about to change forever. The human fleet traveled through space at incredible speed. Stars rushed by like streaks of light. Inside the lead ship, the Phantom, Alex, Mia, and Zara watched the galaxy unfold before them. "We're approaching the Council's home system," Zara said, her eyes glowing as she read data from the ship's computers with her mind. Alex nodded. "It's time. Are we ready to send the message?" Mia took a deep breath. "I still think we should attack first," she said, but she knew the plan. "But yes, we're ready." In the heart of the ship, a special room had been prepared. It was filled with strange machines that hummed with power. A group of the most powerful psychics from Earth sat in a circle, their minds linked. Zara's voice came over the ship's speakers. "All ships, prepare for the psychic blast. We'll reach every corner of the galaxy at once." The psychics began to glow. Energy crackled around them. The ship's lights flickered. Suddenly, a wave of pure thought burst out from the Phantom. It spread faster than light, carried by the combined power of millions of evolved human minds. Across the galaxy, on countless worlds, the message arrived. "We are humanity. We have awakened. We are coming. Run." On the Council's capital world, alarms blared. The High Counselor, Zix, rushed to the control room. "What's happening?" he demanded. A scared-looking alien turned to him. "We're getting reports from everywhere, sir. Every planet, every ship. They all heard the same message in their minds." Zix's face paled. Impossible. The humans were contained. They were primitive. Just then, the sky above the Council city lit up. The human fleet appeared, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The Phantom decloaked, revealing its massive form. Panic spread through the Council world. In the streets, aliens ran in fear. In orbit, ships scrambled to defend the planet. On the Phantom's bridge, Alex watched the chaos. "They're scared," he said. "Good. Now let's talk." Mia grinned. "Can I at least blow up one little ship, just to show them we mean business?" Zara rolled her eyes. "No explosions yet. Let's try diplomacy first." Alex stepped forward and opened a channel to the Council. His image appeared on screens all over the Council world. "Greetings, Galactic Council," he said, his voice calm but filled with power. "We've come to discuss the terms of our membership in your community." In the council chambers, Zix and the other leaders watched in shock. "How did you? You were trapped on your world." Zix sputtered. Alex smiled. "We evolved. We grew. And now we're here to take our place among the stars. Whether that place is as friends or enemies is up to you." As Alex spoke, the human fleet demonstrated their power. Ships danced through the sky, moving in ways that defied normal physics. Some vanished and reappeared at will. Others seemed to bend space around them. On planets across the galaxy, more displays of human power appeared. Holographic images of Earth's new cities shimmered in alien skies. The message was clear. Humanity was far beyond what the Council had imagined. In orbit around the Council world, tense negotiations began. The Council, once so mighty, now found themselves scrambling to appease the very species they had tried to contain. Zara led the diplomatic team. "We don't want war," she explained to the Council. "We want to join you, to help create a better galaxy for all species. But we will not be ruled. We will not be contained." As the talks continued, news spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived under the Council's strict rule for millennia began to question everything. Some saw humans as liberators. Others feared them as conquerors. Back on Earth, humanity waited for news. The animals in the forests, the fish in the seas, even the plants seemed to sense that something big was happening. The planet itself seemed to pulse with anticipation. In the council chambers, a decision was reached. Zix, looking older and tired, addressed the human leaders. We accept your terms. The galaxy will never be the same, but perhaps that's for the best." As the agreement was made official, cheers erupted on the human ships. They had done it. Humanity had not just survived, but thrived. They had faced the stars and made them blink. The message that had once been run now changed. Across the galaxy, a new thought spread. We are humanity. We have awakened. We are here. Let's build a better future together. A new era had begun. The universe would never be the same again. Weeks passed after the historic meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council. The galaxy was buzzing with excitement and fear. Everything was changing, and fast. On a beautiful planet with 3 moons, a grand meeting was taking place. Representatives from every species in the galaxy had gathered. Humans, once thought primitive, now sat at the head of the table. Alex stood up to speak. His voice was calm, but it carried across the huge room. "Friends, neighbors, fellow beings of the galaxy, we are here to build something new, something better." Zara stepped forward, her eyes glowing softly. "We've seen the old way, a council that rules through fear. We propose a new way, a union of galaxies where every voice is heard." Murmurs filled the room. Some aliens nodded in agreement. Others looked worried. An alien with blue skin and 4 arms stood up. "But what about your powers? How do we know you won't just take over?" Mia smiled. It wasn't her usual fierce grin, but a gentle one. "That's a fair question. We don't want to rule. We want to help. Our powers will be used to solve problems, not create them." As if to demonstrate, Mia raised her hand. A hologram appeared, showing a planet suffering from terrible storms. Then the image changed. Humans were there, using their weather control abilities to calm the skies. More images followed. Humans healing sick aliens with their new medical knowledge. Human ships helping to evacuate a planet with an exploding sun. human teachers sharing advanced science with eager alien students. The mood in the room began to shift. Fear turned to hope. A small, fuzzy alien spoke up. In the old stories of my people, there was a prophecy. It spoke of a young race that would awaken and bring balance to the stars. Could that be you? Alex smiled. Maybe. But we don't want to be seen as gods or saviors. We're just people, like you. We've grown, we've changed, but we're still learning. We want to learn from all of you too. As the meeting continued, plans were made. The old Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place, the new Union of Galaxies was formed. Every species would have a voice. Decisions would be made together. But it wasn't all easy. Some races, used to having power under the old council, resisted. A group of warlike aliens tried to attack Earth, thinking it would be an easy target. They were wrong. The human fleet met them in space. But instead of a battle, something amazing happened. The humans used their mental powers to link minds with the alien attackers. For a moment, the aliens felt what it was like to be human. They understood the love, the hope, the dreams that drove humanity. The alien ships turned back. Their leaders came to Earth to apologize and ask to join the new Union. On Earth, things were changing too. The planet was healing. Forests grew where cities had once stood. Animals thrived. But there were also new, amazing cities. Buildings that floated in the sky. Gardens that grew food for millions in small spaces. Humans were changing too. With their new abilities, many chose to adapt their bodies for life on other worlds. Some grew gills to live in alien oceans. Others changed their skin to survive on worlds with different suns. But through all the changes, they remembered their history. Museums were built to show what life was like before the Great Slumber. Children learned about the old world, the challenges, the near extinction, and the amazing rebirth of their species. As years passed, the galaxy entered a new golden age. Problems were solved together. New discoveries were shared. Art and music from 1,000 worlds blended to create wonders. And sometimes, on quiet nights, humans would look up at the stars. But now, instead of feeling small and alone, they felt connected to it all. They had faced the greatest challenge in their history. They had slept, dreamed, and awakened stronger than ever. The galaxy had once told humanity to stay in its little corner. Humanity had answered by reaching out and touching the stars themselves. And in doing so, they had not conquered the galaxy, but helped to make it whole. As new generations grew, both human and alien, they learned an important lesson. Great power comes with great responsibility. And the greatest power of all is the power to bring people together. The story of humanity's great awakening became legend across the galaxy. And the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in this new age of hope and unity.